Alright, we're going to take a look at the Beelink SER8 8745HS. So this is the newer model, but it's a little bit downgraded from the 8845HS model that preceded it a few months earlier. Looks practically the same, functions nearly the same. The biggest difference is that the NPU for AI computing is disabled on the 8745HS compared to the 8845HS. And compared on synthetic tests with the 8845HS, these are the performance differences. So combined CPU single, multi, and CPU overall scores, it's close enough to be about the same. The single thread performance, for some reason, was the largest difference, about 4% slower than the 8845HS. Temperatures were a little better in the 8845HS, and the SSD temperatures, for some reason, the 8745HS was a little better. But pretty much everything is close enough that I would consider it about the same, and Beelink probably, just listening to the machine of the 8745HS, it's a little bit quieter, so I suspect Beelink did tweak things a little bit at least. But it's also possible that what AMD supplied was a 8845HS processor that was just lower bin than, and they disabled the NPU in there and sold it for a better price, and that helped the Beelink SER8 8745HS sell for about $100 less than the 8845HS. So because the performance difference is so close and you're getting practically the same functionality for most people, it's really not going to make a difference having that AI unless you really have a specific use for it. And I believe it is much better value to just go ahead and get yourself the 8745HS right now, since it is available at a much better price. It comes in two flavors of having 24 gigabytes of RAM or 32 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. There isn't any bare bones kits sold for it. I wish there was. That would be very nice. But the included RAM is certainly not bad. Beelink likes to use their Crucial type of RAM, and that works pretty well. 5600 megahertz is the max speed for the 8745HS. I'm using a PH0. Is it? Yeah, PH0 screw bit to go ahead and open up this computer. And it's a very popular kind of machine because of the lower noise that it offers compared to a lot of mini PCs and the pretty low temperatures that it offers. There aren't going to be a lot of enough downward force. There aren't going to be a lot of mini PCs that really match in the kind of temperatures that Beelink has going on here for it, because this whole cooling system was originally designed for machines like the SER9 with the HX370 processor, which is much hotter. So they took essentially the same cooler and put it into a machine with a CPU that's lower performance and generates less heat. So the result of that is wonderful. Plus, you also save almost half the cost compared to the SER9 and get it still very competitive performance for a lot of mini PCs today. Dust filter is useful, especially if you have pets or live in a dusty or dry or very dry areas. So that helps a lot. I think that's kind of nice that they've included it. And then you've got the RAM, DDR5, 5600 megahertz. It's easy to just unclip and you can remove it. There we go, 1.1 volt CL46. It's not the best RAM in the world, but it's pretty close enough that I do not have any complaints with it. It's 32 gigabytes in this version that I'm looking at. 24 gigabytes, if you're going for that, that also works. Usually it's just like $20 or $30 cheaper than the 32 gigabyte model, so just look around. I know the prices vary, especially with the dozens of identical listings Beelink likes to spam. But every now and then the prices do go down. They do go up. So use your best judgment. Come on. There we go. Oh, they really over-tightened that one. Okay. If I'm skipping too much, going to a manual screwdriver. Just press down and gently twist. Huh. Nope. I'm not getting anywhere with that one. Okay. If my bit is maybe too large, I'm going to go try a pH00. Nope. That also is too small. Okay. Let's try pH1. pH1 does the trick. Alrighty, so let's see. Yep, that's out. Heatsink can kind of just fold out of the way, and that gives me access to the SSD there. I want my pH 0 bit again so that I can open the M.2 screw to release the SSD. This is a AZW, Crucial kind of brand, or no, AZW P3 Plus SSD. Crucial has a P3 Plus as well, but there's no Crucial name on this SSD. It has a Phison controller, so it's DRAMless, QLC NAND, and it is single-sided, because you can see all the main modules are on one side, and the back side is very flat. And here are the specs for anybody who's curious. It is identical to the SER8 8845HS and SER9, and a lot of Beelink mini PCs, they just use a lot of the same modules. And the heatsink itself has like 2 large thermal pads, which I am very glad extend the full length of the heatsink. You don't get like a half length like you might get in the EQR6, where the focus is to save cost as much as possible. All right. Let's see. I want to go ahead and remove the Wi-Fi antenna next. Let's see. I don't want to lose this M.2 screw. So I'm just going to screw that back in. And one of the nice things about the SER8, oh goodness gracious, they over-tighten everything. I didn't have this problem with the SER8 and SER9, so just be a little careful. It looks like Beelink, for whatever reason, is over-tightening a lot of their modules. You'll need a sufficient amount of downward force, a little bit of patience. You can't use the electric ones, which I'd like to use, but okay. Anyways, what I wanted to show is these plastic clips are very clean for a solution for holding down the antennas on the wireless card. There's always a risk that these antennas could pop off. They are just little precise press fits there. Anyways, they just unclip and you can clip them back in with just a little bit of nail pressure. AX200 NGW. It's an Intel wireless card. You get Bluetooth, I think 5.2 or 5.1 or something, and Wi-Fi 6. So no Wi-Fi 6E, unfortunately, but it's a $500 mini PC, so I'm not expecting the top of the line stuff. Still would be nice too. There are some mini PCs with Wi-Fi 6E, so there's room to improve. Still, these are reliable wireless cards. Beelink might have some quality controls for this, but I haven't heard too much noise for it with the 8745HS. It's a bit more of something that happened with the early units of the 8845HS. But if somebody does have wireless issues, just let me know. It can vary on a lot of issues, like the antennas or your router might not have the strongest signal. Maybe the computer is several rooms away from the router that it's trying to access, or there's a lot of objects or walls or metal or other things that could be blocking the signal. Anyways, the antennas should just about unclip like that. Heatsink is just connected to there. There we go. Oh, and one of the screws, just leave that together and off to the side. There we go. Now then, let's see. This is a daughter board. This can be removed. There is no speakers or microphones included with this mini PC, which I think is nice and keeps the design much more simple. I'm unhooking that so that it helps me with removing the main board a little bit later on, but I'm going to go ahead and remove the front I/O daughter board because that will give me enough room to slide the main board out. Okay, and then let's see, need a 3.5 millimeter socket screwdriver. All right, one standoff. All these standoffs should be about the same size. Two. And what else? Yeah. Otherwise, just looking over the main board, I don't see any key distinct differences. I'll go ahead and grab an 8845HS main board just so that we can have side by side to just take a quick look around. Alrighty. Let's see. For those of you curious, this is what an 8845HS main board looks like. Side by side with the 8745HS on the left, 8845HS on the right. You can see that they are nearly the same. So there really isn't any major differences, except, nope, there's just an optical illusion. They are pretty much the same. Alrighty. Going back to my PH0 screw bit, so I don't lose track of it. I'm going to just put back the little plastic clip there. And let's see, I want to remove this phone type connector. I like this design. It's not too much work to reach the RAM and SSD. Removing the main board is a little bit tricky, but is by far not the most difficult thing that I've had to remove. So unclipping the front I/O is just like that, and you can just press that back into place if we have the time. I'll go ahead and try and just reassemble it real quick. There is a little bit of black tape on the front here, and that's going to hold in the front I/O. Just be a little bit mindful of that. You just want to gently peel that off. There we go. That is freed. This is the front I/O main board. For anybody curious, you got USB-C, USB-A on the left, USB-C, then this audio jack and BIOS reset, main power button. There isn't too much going on here. It's just breaking out the connectivity needed from the main board. And it gives it the whole case that unique Beelink airflow that comes in, sweeps around all the modules on one side, and because the fan on the other side is so large, it just vacuums in all that air and exhausts it out the rear. And it's a very good sized cooler for an 8745HS Zen 4 processor. Alrighty, let's see. You'll also keep in mind there's 1, 2, 3 smaller screws around here, maybe even 4. These screws do not need to be removed because they are actually, yeah, they are holding down the cooler on the opposite of the main board, so you don't have to remove them. Just the standoffs, the 6 standoffs, and now I can kind of release the whole main board. I'm going to go ahead and try and grip from the standoffs. There's a little bit of black tape on either end, and that's holding down the main board from me just simply removing it. Otherwise, I could just easily just tilt it out of here. And I'm gripping it from the fan, and there we go. I think they really just put this tape in randomly at this point because they didn't put this tape in on the 8845HS model. Oh well. And, oh, here we go. This is the fan. It's a very nice size, 105 by 12 millimeter, 12 volt fan. So we're moving past the 5 volt fans that are typically on mini PCs. And I think that's a good direction for us to go to because the higher voltage allows you to spin a larger fan. It also reduces fan noise to a degree. And you can see a little bit of the chunky vapor chamber that's underneath. And the inside of the case, it's got a nice kind of metallic gray look. It's a little bit different from the silver. Nice to have a little bit of color variety, even if it is just 2 colors. Oh, here, let me show. This is what silver looks like. And this is what the gray looks like. So it's very similar if you're looking for a lighter or darker color. To most people, this probably won't even make a difference, but it is an option available there. The logo itself, I don't know how you would remove it. I don't recommend using anything really because it could stain the material. I think I'm fine with it. I might actually like the space gray look a little better. It's just something different. And the nice thing is, because Beelink is using nearly the same main board, well, you could probably mix and match these boards between the different computers. Anyways, back to the 8745HS main board. We're going to go take a look underneath the fan and then get this reassembled. Ugh. Well, that's for certain. They are over-tightening their screws a little bit much. I'm just trying to access the fan. I don't recommend actually accessing the thermal paste underneath it because I think it's liquid metal, which is phenomenal for heat transfer, but it's also a very messy business. I've tried changing this liquid metal on the GTI 14 Ultra, and really it didn't make any temperature difference because Beelink does a pretty decent application of it. And there's a lot of mess playing around with liquid metal. It's definitely doable, but I wouldn't be in a rush to access the CPU die underneath. Oh, before I forget, always unplug the fan. There we go. It's a 4-pin fan. And let's see. Just lifting a little bit to get the electrical tape to give. And there we go. Nice, chunky vapor chamber. This is a good amount of copper to include with the mini PC. And to cool it, you got a nice dedicated lane here for the VRMs. Yeah. I would like to see more mini PCs using vapor chambers because it helps with heat transfers so much. And using these larger fans helps reduce the noise a lot. Yeah. That's a good number of fins. Yeah, I'm very happy with this kind of design Beelink has. And you can even see the blank space here where, because the SER8 uses SODIMM RAMs for their RAM slots. You can upgrade the RAM up to 96 gigabytes. But the SER9, compared to this, would have 4 little RAM DIMMs soldered here. And that wouldn't be upgradable. So I think a lot of people are going to get a much better deal going with the older Zen 4 mini PCs. Half the cost, upgradable RAM, pretty good CPU and iGPU performance still. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the machine. And yeah, I'm very glad Beelink has made this offering to lower the price of their SER8, and it keeps them very competitive. Now, there are some downsides with this machine. It's got a good amount of storage. You got the 2 SSD slots, so you could add like 2 4 terabytes or even 2 8 terabyte SSDs there. It's preferably that it would be single-sided, so that way you have the SSD NANDs all contact the heatsink. But to a limited degree, if you're not going to super crazy push the SSD, you could install an 8 terabyte SSD, and I think that would be fine. So 16 terabytes in a mini PC like this is just monstrous. There are some machines that do have 3 NVMe slots, like the AOStar Gem 10. Somehow, it's a smaller mini PC, and they've crammed a third one of these M.2 slots. I guess like Beelink could have even put a third one here, but that might interfere with their airflow. So it's a pretty dense machine. All right, got the fan back in there. I'm going to go ahead and replace the main board back inside. Grip by the standoffs, preferably not by the M.2 ports. You don't want to grip by that. Main boards or fans, just anything other than the delicate ports. There we go. And the plastic rear panel for the rear I/O does help because it's just a little bit flexible compared to all the metal around the case. That does help. I'm getting a little bit stuck on the power button at the moment, but a little bit of gentle persuasion, and I should be able to get that in. There we go. Excellent. Main board is back in. Daughter I/O board. Just slot that in, line it with the screws. All right, I'm going to go ahead and replace. Let's see, I want to put the standoffs back in. There isn't a set order in how you have to reassemble the machine. Preferably just get everything back to the place where you found it. And if you are truly one of those people that are very forgetful, record what you're doing. It might come in handy in the future, of course, to see the steps that you took. There we go. To disassemble the machine, and then you just reverse the order. There we go. That's 1, 2, 3 standoffs. But yeah. Let's see. What else can I yap about? You've got a 16-thread CPU. I think that's a pretty good spot to be in going into 2025 if you're looking for a higher-end computer. 12-thread CPUs are still pretty capable for desktop usage, but if you're doing like work tasks, especially like video editing, you want more CPU threads. A little bit for video compiling and rendering. There we go. Standoffs are in. I won't need that M3.5 millimeter socket wrench anymore. Back to the PH0. Let's see. M.2 Wi-Fi AE key wireless card, 2230 size. And the SSD. go. That looks good. I'll need to put the antenna back on. Oops. Ooh, okay, excellent. I was focusing a little bit too much on that. Alrighty, and go ahead and get the antennas attached. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 little plastic hooks that you'll want to latch the antennas into. Make sure the antennas don't get caught on the plastic edge, and just gently smoosh it in. And thread it in. Excellent. That feels about decent. Yeah. Alright, I'm just going to move the SSD holder out of the way. I'm going to move a little bit of the black plastic tape back into place. Alrighty, white to white triangle. Just press my nails into the connector. It's an IPEX connector. These things are so delicate. It's silly. I mean, they can easily tear, but also they're surprisingly durable enough. This is what a lot of laptops use, and if you've ever seen somebody run around with a laptop, they do stay in place. It takes a serious amount of force and inertia to free one of these cables. There we go. That's in there. I feel reasonably confident about the location of those cables. Now I'm just going to put in the little protector clip to make sure those cables do stay in. And I love this so much more than people that use black tape or acrylic stickers to hold down the clip, because this just holds it there. Wonderful. Alright, next is the front I/O. I need to line it up with these 2 plastic notches. Let's see, that's one. And the tape is a little sticky, but there we go. The alignment holes are in there. I can clip the I/O cable back into place and get about to screwing everything back together. There we go. Wonderful. And then the SSD heatsink goes right back in place. I might add another drive in the future if I feel the need, but there we go. Let's say this is a pretty good result. You save $100 USD. It might be different for different countries, but you save a good chunk of cash for just, let's see, mostly about 1 to 2% performance difference. It's so small that you really won't notice it. And the average person isn't going to mind too much, because the temperatures, even though they are a little bit warmer than the 8845HS, are still very good temperatures, above average than I would consider for a lot of mini PCs. I wasn't bothered by the noise, but then again, I'm not bothered by too many mini PC noises. The fan temperatures the temperatures the fans were detecting were so low, they didn't feel the need to ramp up until they were past like 70 or so C's. No, I shouldn't say that. I wasn't timing that. But, okay, dust filter is back in place. Alrighty. Which is useful for me because I do have pets. No pets in the lab, but still something I appreciate to see. You can remove this filter to improve airflow a little bit if you don't have pets. This is a nice little option. But also interestingly, because of that bottom airflow design, it does prevent this mini PC from being used in a base amount. I think that's almost a good thing. It does sacrifice some of that versatility that some people might want. But this is a relatively nice looking mini PC case. And you get much better temperatures than if you were... Oh, you're kidding me. You know what I forgot to put in? The RAM slots. Alright, open it up again. Here I was like, oh yes, I'm going so quick. No, I'm not. Alrighty. Pull tab. Yay. More mini PCs need a pull tab. It's such a simple little thing. Even if it's not a pull tab, you just include a notch so that way I can remove it. And please, whoever is designing mini PCs with giant stickers to hold down and cover screws, curse you. Curse the way that you live, and your aesthetics are garbage. There we go. RAM slots, simple, easy. You just slide it in, clips in. I like this system. We just need the new mini PCs. There we go. Yeah, that's in there. Huh. No, it's not. There we go. Yeah, make sure that it's seated before you bend it down. It's not going to damage it, but it does feel weird to me because I've done it so many times. Just make sure all the teeth have lined up. All right, closing it back up. These RAM DIMMs do go up to 6400 megahertz, and I'm looking forward to new mini PCs supporting 6400 megahertz. It's such wonderful potential that these DIMMs slots offer. We are going to look at a future where mini PC manufacturers are trying to get faster RAM in there. With CAM2 and more soldered memory designs. I don't like the soldered memory designs. The CAM2 looks proprietary and expensive. I do hope we get to keep these SODIMM slots because they are very functional. There we go. Reassembled the Beelink SER8 8745HS. It's very simple. Front I/O. You just got front power button, reset hole, audio jack, USB-C, USB-A. Like, this is not difficult to mess up. You just put a power button on the front. On the rear, you got a 5.5, 2.5 millimeter barrel jack for power supplies. This is such a common power supplies these days. Like, these are so easy to find. And then USB-C, USB-4 port. So this also supports 100 watt USB-C power. So if you have like a laptop charger, plug it in there. It's right next to the main 5.5 barrel jack. These work to powering the mini PC, depending on whatever power supply you have. HDMI, display port, HDMI 2.1, display port, I think 1.4, and then 3 USB-A ports, 2.5 gigabyte Ethernet, and another headphone audio jack. This is nice to have because it keeps all the cable connections at the rear, all the video out at the rear. It's a good design. I wish there was another USB 4 port, but not a lot of people use 2 USB 4 ports, but I think what Beelink has here is a very nice design. If you find it around $500 or even less, that's a pretty good deal for such a powerful mini PC. So just keep an eye out, whatever Black Friday sales or prices do go up around Christmas. So keep an eye after Christmas. So when prices will kind of dip and fluctuate. Camel.com, Keepa, or even just the spreadsheet price guide thing. You can find this thing. Just a whole lot of recommended mini PCs to shop for, and information on the r/mini PCs Reddit. And yeah, I wish you all a wonderful day. Best wishes finding good deals, and have a good one. Enjoy your mini PCs. Bye.